Hello everyone and welcome back to the Slow Car Salon. Today we're going to be working on my brother's 2005 Toyota Prius. He's had this thing for almost 100,000 miles. It has just a little over 200,000 now. There's a lot wrong with it because there's just so much deferred maintenance that needs to be caught up on, unfortunately. But while he's out of town, we're going to help him get it all fixed up. So let's get started. So yeah, this is his 2005 Prius. I ended up helping get this car for him after the unfortunate demise of the cleanest 2006 Acura RSX that I could find in the Bay Area. I think he only had this car less than a year and it got totaled on his way to work. So that was an unfortunate loss. So it's been a few years, at least 5 or 6 years since then, and we now have this Prius. He finds it more practical and better on gas, of course. But man, has it been through the ringer in terms of everyday abuse. The paint has seen better days. The headlights are absolutely gone. The interior is disgusting, but that's not why we're here. We're going to do some mechanical work on this car instead. We had the car brought into Tools Garage in San Carlos. We had them do an once-over on the car and also have them do a brake bleeding because you need the specific TechStream tool to bleed the brakes properly because Priuses are, fun fact, actually brake-by-wire. So if you try to bleed the brakes yourself, you will just introduce air into the lines because the pedal does not actuate the master cylinder. The pedal actuates some electronics that then cause the master cylinder to move because the car wants to try to regen first and then apply the brakes. All right, so we're going to take a look at the inspection report here because this is essentially what is driving why we bought the parts we did and why we wanted to tackle the things we fixed. First, obviously, was all the dash indicator lights for all of the faults related to the brakes, which was disabling ABS, traction control, VSC, I think, is part of the traction control system. So that's why we brought it in, is because at least we wanted them to do the brake bleeding service because I thought, based on the last time that I used the Toyota TechStream scanner, it was saying one of the rear brake circuits, I forget which side, had low pressure. So it's like, hey, can you use your TechStream system and bleed the brakes for us? And then in bringing the car in to do that, they gave us this inspection report. There are other findings, just audio-visual, clunk when coming in and out of driveway and over bumps, water intrusion smell, we knew about that. The water intrusion, that is. Slight squeak, vibration, grinding, and pulsation noted from brakes. Yeah, they all kind of just needed a full service anyways. They noticed the pinhole that was in the washer line because the washers weren't working. They noticed the left rear taillight, the LED matrix wasn't working. So they wanted to charge to replace a bulb there, but it's LEDs. It's a whole separate unit. You replace the taillight, or in the case that I've found before is you replace the ballast resistor board instead. We ordered that, but we didn't necessarily go about fixing it because we were trying to tackle everything else first. They found the lower engine torsion mount torn. We replaced all the tires, so that was okay. Lower control arm bushings are cracking. They thought that the front struts were original. They had already been replaced once, but they were wearing out, being aftermarket units, so they recommend struts with upper mounts. All the brake hardware is toast and super rusty from all the coastal moisture, so we ended up just redoing all of the brakes, including the drums. All of the fluids looked okay, thankfully, because we did at least swap out the coolant at some point in the past. And yeah, that's about basically all the things that they found. And then based on their findings, this is all of what they quoted. So just to do the brake fluid service, which is what we then had them do and we paid for, was about $285. Fine, because I don't have the TechStream tool to run the brake bleedings program anyways. But the amount of money they wanted to charge to fix everything else was absurd. So this is what? Front brake pad rotor replacement. So brakes R&R. Parts, labor, $650, thereabouts. Crazy. Rear brake shoes and hardware, $864. We're going to total this up at the top right corner of the screen just so you could see what this ends up costing. Exterior bulb, $35. I don't know, again, how they were planning on doing that because it's not bulb, it's the ballast board usually. TPMS system, because they wanted to, for all of the lights that were stuck on the dash, they wanted to charge a diag fee for each. So they $129 for the TPMS, $260 for the check engine light, ABS light, $260 as well. And then just as part of a service menu for the mileage, considering this car had over 200,000 miles, R&R for spark plugs, $281. Ridiculous. Fuel air induction system service with throttle body cleaning, $363. Also ridiculous. Not sure why they put GDI system service kit here. I'm pretty sure the 1NZ FXE is not GDI. But anyways, if you want to clean your injectors, just throw some stuff in the gas tank from Chevron. I don't know why they would go bother to do all this. And yeah, nickel and dime me with $8 a brake cleaner, would ya? Gee whiz. Full service, fuel additive, spin on engine filter, engine oil, and some flush and molybdenum disulfide anti-friction, which that's good stuff, but it's just a lot of little nickel and diming for some additives we can easily get off the shelf. $171. Honestly, not bad for just doing some fluids and some additives. That's, I think, was reasonable. For the mileage, they recommended a cooling system service, the cooling system fluid exchange, but we already swapped it all out because we had to replace the hybrid coolant pump, the separate electric pump that sits in the right side of the engine bay. They wanted $520, also kind of crazy. Engine torque mount, $247. For the front struts, just the R&R for the full assemblies, nearly $1,800. It's wild to me. For the front lower control arms, $1,300. An alignment, which fine, we needed to go do this after we were done with all this work anyways, $160. That's kind of going rate for that these days. So yeah, that's the grand total for everything that they wanted to do, but we didn't let them because that's crazy cost. No one's going to pay that. And no wonder, in the case of maintaining older cars, no wonder people are having such a hard time and they go straight to getting a new car and having a payment anyways because, yeah, the labor is no joke these days. But luckily, we can order the parts and we have the tools. So we're going to get her done. So we got a ton of boxes worth of parts to go through, but we're going to start with doing the rear drums. We need to redo the shoes, redo all of the hardware, springs, adjusters, and such, and then adjust the parking brake. So I believe what I have in my hand is the hardware kit, and it is, all the springs and everything. And then these, yes, are the shoes. I was about to say if the picture on the front of the box is to be believed, and they are. So we're going to tackle one side each and knock this out.
You're off the ground.
Yep, I'm trying to get it high up enough so we can put jacks under. Like, properly. Okay, and quick test because we had to just spin the adjuster wheels on the back of the drums when we were all done reassembling and make sure that there was only a slight drag on the wheel constantly. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stomp on the parking brake. And the car is in neutral. Let's see. Brake off. No, I'm rolling slightly. Okay, there it goes. All right, so it's probably still somewhat within adjustment range. And they are self-adjusting. That's why they have the spring-loaded adjusters inside of them. So as it gets used, it will free up some more of the slack. We just got a slight drag on both sides. So that's gonna be it for tonight, because then tomorrow we gotta then come to the front brakes, and you'll see why. All right, In regards to the brakes, we're dealing with some very rusty rotors, but only due in part to the fact that the car sits near the California coast, so that's okay, but then the surface of it is, yeah, just pretty gone. And then on the inside over here, we're pretty much metal to metal, so that's why we're replacing the rotors as a whole and the pads at the same time. So next on the menu is essentially a front-end rebuild, because the inspection report that I showed you called out these items, so I figure we might as well just do it because the car has 206,000 miles. We may as well do it. So we have a new set of shocks for the front, accompanying top hats, a new set of pads and rotors for the front as well, because we went metal to metal, as you saw. Sway bar end links, because you have to take those off anyways. Front lower control arms. And then finally, the front engine torque mount. But we're just going to pull all the brake components off, pull the strut out, get the sway bar end links out, and then do the R&R for the strut itself with the new top hats. The engine torque mount, luckily, is literally right there. So we're just going to have to support the engine side and make sure we keep the OEM brackets and this little mass damper right here. So that'll be a pretty easy swap. And then finally, for the control arms, looks like we have a pretty large bolt here. This one appears to be for the subframe. We have one large bolt here. We have a ball joint in the bottom of the control arm, which, depending on how difficult that is to take out or not, we may just swap that over. But the new control arms do have new ball joints, so I suppose we may as well do that. And then I think, okay, here. And by the oil pan here, there's another, okay, right there. Yeah, so just hoping that's short enough to actually get out, to get the control arm out, because the engine is, or the oil pan is literally like right there. I don't see that as an issue on the other side. Yeah, because there's, well, nothing in front of it right there. So this may be the challenging side. I really hope that this doesn't bite us in the butt. Well, actually, now that I'm thinking, if we're going to take the engine torque mount out, we should be able to lever the thing up a pretty decent amount and create the clearance we need to get that bolt out, actually. So, yeah, we may actually be okay. Oh, we just took the cowl off, and that's probably the smell. Blech. We got the front struts out, so I'm going to start getting the new ones unboxed.
So we're going to anti-seize everything, right?
Yeah, when we put everything back together, we're going to anti-seize everything, especially my side, because my side is facing the ocean. So we just got the struts out, and I'm just going to start unboxing the new ones so we can start installing them. We got a set of spring compressors we got to put on so we can compress the spring, because stock springs being lower spring rate usually are under a little bit of preload, and we're not going to just shoot them out into the distance as much as I personally like to do that. We're just going to safely compress the spring to take the load off the top hat, whiz that off, put all the new stuff on the new strut, and reinstall. Okay, so I'm going to get started on my side, and these are the spring compressors, and these are very cutely known as suicide sticks, because it is a little nerve-wracking to put these on your stock springs and then compress them, and then you have a system now under tension with potential energy loaded up in it. But I've used these multiple times in the past without issue. You just have to carefully put them on and make sure that the end is secure with the pin so it doesn't just slide off of spring. So they're pretty all right in my book. All right, we're going to put the bump stop on? Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do this, okay?
Yeah, go for it. I'm just recording it. Other way.
Goes this way? Oh,
yep.
Yeah, that's right. That's where.
All right, put the dust cover back on after reinstallation. Unfortunately, I didn't end up buying new bellows for the area up here where it covers up the bump stop and everything else, and then it kind of clicks over the top of the shock here, but you're just gonna have to live with it, unfortunately. through. You're kind of offset right now. Down slightly. Up. No, you almost had it. Up, 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 up. There you go. Push up. Push up on it. All the way. Good, stop. You're good. All right, strut is all back in. Haven't done the sway bar link just yet, so we'll get to that in the end here. But we're gonna start getting the lower control arm off, and that means I get to start with the engine torque mount because I need to make sure I can raise the engine slightly so I can actually get to the bolt here. So I'm going to start by supporting the engine right here next to the engine torque mount bracket and then start taking it out. Okay, I got the engine torque mount out, but it did not do what I was hoping for tool clearance on the control arm here. So I tried putting a jack on the oil pan and I got maybe 3/4 of an inch movement, but not nearly enough to actually get me in there. So I'm hoping my long wrench here will get me home, but the bolt is kind of long, so I'm really not sure how this is going to work. Anyway, you can definitely see the torque mount at the end of its life here. The new one. Big, big difference. Gotta say, it's pretty nice that these nuts for the torque arm have these little tabs on them so that they stop spinning, so you can do this whole job by only spinning one side via the bolt head. So thank you, Toyota, for your considerate and awesome design. Okay, and that's a control arm in. This one was pretty straightforward with 2 main bolts here on the driver's side. It's just that this bushing got a little stuck in its slot, but we were able to get it out by jacking up the bottom of the knuckle to get it up and out of the way, because ideally your control arm is parallel with the ground, and that makes it really easy to slot out. Putting it back in. This bolt actually is tapered at the tip of it so that you can try to get it aligned in case the control arm is rotated a little bit. So that made life pretty easy there. And now we're just putting the hardware back in for the ball joint plate. All right. Yes, they are 17s. End link is going back on, and while that's happening, I'll start getting some of the brake hardware, new rotor, pads, and everything back on as well. We got a very well buttoned up corner, so we're going to put the wheel back on this side and then turn our attention back over to the passenger side, remove the engine torque mount bolt one more time, and then continue our operations to swap out the control arm and get everything else back together. Okay, control arm removal on passenger side. Bolt for the torque mount is removed, so we can literally rock the engine by hand like a lot. But that is the ticket, because then I'll be able to grab here. If I hold the phone on the engine side, I'll be able to grab it. Okay, I think the bolt is just hanging up inside the control arm, but I have enough room to really get the engine out of the way of the bolt here, you see. Okay, yeah, there you go, see? I think it's just the threads that are caught up on it right now. And then another yoink of the engine. Oh, all right, I think this is gonna be a two-handed operation, so I'll get back to you here. Okay, just had to have my dad give me a hand to rock the engine some more over here, but yeah, got the bolt out. So now we'll just continue getting the control arm out and basically do a repeat of the driver's side.
We have the same issue.
Okay, well then we have the same solution by jacking up the knuckle from the ball joint plate, and then we'll be able to take the control arm to parallel with the ground and then kind of rotate it out that way.
Yeehaw.
Okay. So here we go, knuckles jacked up. Just gonna get a kind of screwdriver in there to lever the bushing out of its little cradle here in the subframe. You can also use a punch on the rear side of it, I think. I just don't know how much access there is. But we had success doing this on the other side anyway, so we're just kind of repeating what we think works. I'm sure there are better solutions though.
So you're good over there. I can put these in, right?
All right, we got all the suspension components all put back together, new end link in, so let's put in some brakes like this. Okay, pads and rotors are on, so now we'll get the wheel on, put the car back on the ground. All right, and coming down. And there we go. I'm gonna call it a night. It's pretty late right now, actually, so we'll come back to reinstallation of the cowl. Still got that. We've got this windshield washer line to repair because some mice thought it was very tasty. Amazing. And then we got the wipers to do, just to replace them because they're just really old and just smear water, unfortunately. So yeah, we're gonna be on the home stretch here. All right, it's the next day. Car's been settled down on its control arms for a little bit, so we're going to get under there and torque the bolts. Then we'll put the windshield cowl back together. I will redo the windshield washer line since I got a pack of it from O'Reilly's. Then we'll throw new wiper blades all around. And that should pretty much wrap this all up. All right, had to take the fender liner off to tee into the original line because it ran all the way down into the bottom of the reservoir, and I don't really have time to get in there, so I just put a little single inline splicer tee in to run part of a new line up through the edge of the fender apron, around the hood hinge here, in this holder, and up and into the Y-splitter for the nozzles. So now that is finally in place. So now all we got to do is put the cowl, the lower metal cowl, the wipers, and the upper plastic cowl all back in. Okay, that pretty much wraps up the work. We're just gonna go take the car up and down the road and just make sure that everything sounds and feels okay. Okay, well, that test drive ended pretty quickly because we were getting some pretty significant scraping. Yeah, all that happened was just this dust shield here is scraping against the rotor and smoking a little bit. So we're just gonna clearance that and then it should be good. All right, with that fixed, we're just gonna go quickly get a piece of wire so we can reset the ABS VSC brake warning lights because those have been on and active for a very long time at this point. So what we gotta do is go under here for the OBD2 port here, jump pins 4 and 13, and then stomp on the brake pedal 8 times. Just like that, pins 4 and 13. I'll come back here. Turn the car on. ABS light should blink. We don't have it. Within 5 seconds, we got to stomp the brake pedal 8 times. There you go. Now it's rapidly flashing. That tells me that the procedure is now done. So we'll turn the car off. Remove the jumper. Put it down here. All right, put my foot on the brake to start the car. Let's check the lights are gone, and they're gone. So now let's do our test drive. Good, and also no brake warning light as well, only when I put the parking brake on, like so, and take it off. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, that's much better. I can also already tell the engine torque mount is making a world of difference for the engine vibrations. So let's just do a quick run to bed the brakes in a little bit, not get them too hot, and then, oh, I hear the brakes clicking again, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, now another big difference that just occurred after doing this brake job and resetting the ABS VSC series of warning lights is that we are no longer having a pull to the left for braking. So if I get on it now, and the ABS is kicking in just fine. Oh yeah, that's so much better.
ABS is working.
ABS is working, and it's braking in a straight line, which is safe and what we need for my brother because he commutes about 40 miles one way every day, so can't have him be one wheel braking, you know? So that's going to wrap up this video. All of the mechanical items are now fixed, and it's a good running, driving, safe car. We're going to let my brother do all of the cleaning himself. I think we did him a pretty nice $8,000 favor, so all the rest of the grime and crud I think is going to be on him. But that's going to be it for this episode. I'll see you in the next one.